Hello, this is Ramesh Chandran, founder of BioBasics, and I'm here to talk a little bit about the question that most of us should ask ourselves, whether we are employed or starting a new venture, is are we part of the problem or are we part of the solution? So it was Manu who called me the other day, a good friend from my college days and now a successful film producer. And he was keen to help BioBasics with our growth, and he wanted to introduce me to a buyer in Dubai who was interested in buying organic produce from us. And I had to tell him that we don't do any exports. So Manu was very surprised, and I explained the concept of virtual water and food miles to him. That transporting food over thousands of miles is part of the problem that BioBasics is trying to solve. And that every kilo of produce that is created carries about 50 liters of water used for growing the crop, and agriculture is one of the biggest users of groundwater in India. And therefore, export of food is essentially export of water, which India, as a water deficient country, cannot afford. So Manu understood, of course, but he found this whole stand incredulous, and he said he had not come across any other entrepreneur who would say no to exports. So BioBasics holds on to this and many other such principles, probably hurting itself commercially by these stands. One could argue that these exports would have given farmer a better price and BioBasics would have made a lot more profits. But then again, we see the environment as a key stakeholder in our venture, and we cannot take decisions that would hurt the environment. And commercially too, I'm sure such steadfastness to some of these principles makes business sense, because sooner than later consumers learn that BioBasics is a brand that they can trust. Another example, many have suggested to us, why not sell non-organic, chemically grown produce, because farmers can get a good price. But sure, farmers can get a good price, but what about the environment? And what about the consumer? So most of us face these dilemmas in our personal and professional lives, and it is not easy to take these decisions when confronted with such conflicting interests. At a national or even global level, we deal with similar dilemmas, whether it's economy versus the ecology, progress versus people, man-animal conflicts, and such. And I can't say I have the answer to all these dilemmas, but what has helped me personally and professionally is a question that I ask myself. Are you part of the problem or are you part of the solution? And to answer this question honestly and to the best of our abilities, we need both knowledge and empathy. Knowledge helps us get a bigger perspective of the conflict and understand the nuances of the problem and the proposed solution. And empathy allows us to feel for the stakeholders, the various stakeholders, and feel the hurt we would be causing. And we need both knowledge and empathy. And usually, both are usually lacking. So sustainability is about keeping all stakeholders in mind, ignoring none. And we are not just talking about shareholders, but the employees, the local community, the environment, the government, the suppliers, the consumers, and the society at large. If we knowingly or unknowingly hurt any of them, the venture becomes unsustainable and will never be in equilibrium in the long run. One can do short hit and run ventures, get rich quick schemes, but never long lasting institutions that will stand the test of time. Now, corporations are usually blamed for ignoring either the environment or the society, including their own employees. And there are non-profit groups which are designed to do good for certain beneficiaries, but who ignore the environment again and the economic sustainability of their own organization. Then there are environmentalist groups which either ignore the human element or the economic sustainability again. So suffice it to say that for true sustainability, one has to balance all the three: the ecology, the environment, the economy, and the society. Now, that is not to say that this fine balance can always be achieved in all cases. Compromises will have to be negotiated, but selectively. And that is where the values of the organization come in. So at BioBasics, we have drawn certain lines, certain boundaries based on our values. First, no refined products, even if it's organic. So organic sugar, organic maida, maybe organic in letter, in that there is no chemicals in them, but not in spirit, because they are highly processed and harmful to health. Number two, no processed products, things like pickles and juices and jams, unless all ingredients are organic, which is very difficult to achieve. Number three, no animal produce, no dairy, no meat in the interest of animal rights. Four, maybe no middlemen. So we source directly from farmers so that we can pay them the largest component of the price that the consumer pays and maintain control over our sourcing. And like I said, no exports, no imports of any exotic produce. But not everything is black and white. There are shades of grey. Our packaging for retail shops across several cities is in plastic pouches. 3-layer plastic laminate with good barrier properties. It improves shelf life. And we are not proud of this using plastic, but we are yet to find an alternative solution. And we have consciously chosen to use stickers on these plastic pouches instead of getting these plastic pouches printed, because the printed covers are much more difficult to recycle, and some of our peers are using beautifully printed plastic covers. And now the latest trend is to greenwash, where the package looks recyclable with brown paper on the outside, but inside it's either a metal foil or plastic, and it's much more difficult to recycle these multi-material packaging material. So the debate is within BioBasics as to whether we need to greenwash, or do we need to go out to the consumers and tell them the facade that sustainable packaging is. So we don't claim to have all these answers to these dilemmas, but we believe that being conscious of how our actions affect various stakeholders, being sensitive to all of them, and constantly striving to achieve a balance among them, that is what builds a sustainable venture, impacting many, yet treading lightly, scalable, yet sensitive.